Hello everyone, Loremaster of Sotek here, and I've got a pretty exciting little reveal for y'all coming all the way from China. In case you haven't heard, there is some sort of PC event or something going on over there, like a PC, like their version of a PC game show, and on something to do with Bilibili. And as a part of that, they being Total War, ended up showing off some extended footage of Total War Warhammer 40,000. And CA was kind enough, of course, to provide me this footage in advance. That way I could record a little reaction thing about it, because this thing comes out at an absolutely obscene hour if you live anywhere in the West, because it comes out at a normal part of the day over in China. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into it. To my understanding, it's basically just showing off some battle footage. It looks like we've got about 6 minutes here. To my understanding, there are subtitles in English, but the narrator of the video is not speaking English, so we'll be focusing on the subtitles, and let's get into it. Oh, man. Okay, so I will say I'm going to be pausing a lot in this video because I'm going to be talking about things that show up on screen without trying to talk over this poor gentleman who you can read the subtitles, but I don't understand what he's saying. So here we have them talking about that we are in the Armageddon theater. So we had some teasers and stuff earlier about how Armageddon was going to feature rather heavily or prominently for Total War Warhammer 40K, at least I imagine, is like the onboarding experience, or essentially the tutorial experience. So when you pick up Total War Warhammer 40,000 for the first time, I would imagine what they're going to do, because it's apparently like the entire galaxy, or a substantial part of it, and Armageddon's only a small fraction of the galaxy. But to my understanding, this is supposed to kind of feature as the opening experience, like the default experience. If you are new to the game, is that it will kind of start you in Armageddon, I think. Whether you play as Orks, Space Marines, Imperial Guard, etc. So let's see what we have on offer here. So here we're seeing the Armageddon system. It looks incredibly gorgeous. We've got like some nice space debris. We've got like what looks like some kind of satellite station. The sun or the star looking nice and just molten, and it looks like we're about to zoom into a planet here. So these are all different planets you can interact with. So basically they're saying that every planetary theater, of which we're looking at the Armageddon planetary theater, is going to have multiple planets. Here, it looks like we have a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at least planets. This one over here looks more like a moon, less like a planet, I think. And it looks like we're going to go on to... I don't know if this is the planet Armageddon itself, or if this is just a planet within the Armageddon sphere. I'm not exactly sure how the Armageddon sector is like designed. But it looks like we've got some ships out in orbit here. We are in orbit around a civilized world under threat by an ongoing invasion of Orks. The governor of this planet has issued us a mission requesting aid, and strategically makes sense for us to help. Okay, so here we could see a planet looks super fucking cool. You can see another planet over here in the background that looks like it's got some kind of like warp storm. It almost looks like a Skaven planet. But in this planet, you can see we've got all sorts of different roads, and you can kind of see some almost provincial lines through the terrain that I imagine you'll be able to move across. Looks like we've got some kind of hive city or manufacturing area here. And then we've got some sort of Imperium ship out in orbit around the planet. And then over here we have an Ork ship in orbit around the planet. So I think if we watch them closely, we might see them. Okay, yeah, look at that. So if you look really closely, you can see that the Ork ship fires out. So the Ork ship is using some kind of ability that shoots out some kind of big old meteor that slams into the ground. And that is either probably doing damage, or maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's how Orks get to the planet. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. So And then from here, it looks like we're seeing fire actually exchanged between these two vessels. I think that is an orc weapon shooting at the Imperial cruiser. So they shoot the planet.
死亡制造者舰队正在向地表投送援军。我们的
So with our capital ship in orbit, we can use orbital bombardment to help soften up the enemy before we arrive. Okay, so we saw the orcs hawked something at the planet. Sorry, once again I apologize that I'm kind of doing this bit by bit. Hopefully you're getting some useful information out of it. So they hawk a rock at the planet. Zap, and look, okay, where the rock landed, you can actually see there are some orcs on the ground. They might be a little hard to see, but it looks like where the rock impacted, there was nothing beforehand. So if you look here in front of this big, whatever the hell this is, this like city or manufactory or whatever, it's empty space. And then when they hurl the rock down, after it explodes, there's a group of orcs that appear. So this looks to be some sort of ability that the orc cruisers are able to use to send down either an army or a reinforcement force or something, because it looks like there's another leader up here. I think if we come in slow, yeah, you can kind of see the animation of this character. So this looks like this is an orc up here laying siege or attacking whatever this place is, and then the orc battle cruiser is firing a rock that goes down and hits the place outside, and that's providing reinforcements, I would assume. So either this is like dealing damage, or perhaps it's just adding reinforcements that are going to help whoever this orc warlord is up here, or war boss, to take this city. It's the Death Makers. Oh yeah, actually no, okay, he says it. The Death Makers fleet are sending down reinforcements to the surface. Okay, cool. So he told me that, I just can't read. Alright, and then we see he uses orbital bombardment, so he uses his own battle cruiser, whatever the hell this thing is, uses his own responsibility, and it blows up and does a bunch of damage to those reinforcements. And then we're right into the game's looking really nice. So we have the Imperial Guard holding out against the Orks. Oh, okay, there's the reinforcements. Oh, that's super cool. Okay, that's super cool. So you get to actually see the reinforcements crash down in the real-time battles. It's not just on the campaign map. We actually see them crashing down in the real-time battle. Here, it looks like we've got just a bunch of orc boys. We've got some kind of, I don't know if this is a unit champion or maybe this is a character, but we got some kind of bigger boy here. And then there's some sort of truck back here. Looks like a bulldozer truck of some kind. I'm not super familiar with a lot of the like official names of 40K units. 40K is not my standard wheelhouse, but here, of course, we've got like Cadians, Parsicans, I think. Oh, we got another battle truck over here. Okay, so here we're getting our first big look at the Astra Militarum. So here we've got Carsicans, we've got Cadian shock troops, I think, over here, and we got the Bane Blade. I recognize a Bane Blade. And then we got some smaller tanks supporting as well. Looks like two different kinds. This one's got like a Gatling gun on the top, and this one's got a more standard, like, big boy cannon. Feel free to tell me And also, all of the text is in Chinese, so I can't read it. But we have our sentinels moving up, and he says he's going to be setting up an ambush, hiding behind this terrain to be able to destroy lanes. So the scout sentinels are moving up. You can see they're literally destroying the terrain as they smash into it. So they're saying there's a bunch of different weapon types you can set up. They've set up an ambush with their tanks, sentinels. Oh, look at all those orcs. Look at all the orcs. All right, and here we see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this is a 20 stack. So we have a 20 stack army here, just like we do in traditional Total Wars. It looks like we've got 2 character units, which are like a commissar and then some kind of general, I assume. And then you got tanks, Carsicans, Cadian shock troops, Ogrins, I'm not sure what this guy down here is. He looks like he's kind of like a tabletop mini almost, so that's probably a placeholder image. And then Sentinels and support tanks on the bottom. So here we can see the how this is kind of like Dawn of War 1 and 2, where when you give your troops commands, they will automatically take cover. So they're doing the right thing in drag, like you do in regular Total War, but your guys come back and take so it looks like the characters are not solo. It looks like the characters have retinues. So if you look here, you can actually see that guy right there. So there's, I think that's one of the characters. I think that's either the general character or maybe the guy in the bottom left. But I'm guessing that in this game, it looks like we might not be seeing individual characters unless they're like really big. I'm guessing regular characters will probably have bodyguards. So you see people moving over the terrain. Man, I love, wow, hold up. I actually didn't notice that until just now. If you look, you can see as he's dragging across, these guys are moving to occupy the upper story. So the troops are automatically not only deploying along the ground, but they're also deploying on the upper story of this building. So even though I don't actually obviously see any kind of stairs that they could climb, it looks like units in like buildings and structures will actually take the higher ground so they can be shooting down at people, which is great. So that's super cool. Yeah, okay, so the Ogrins are also just destroying terrain. Very funny. So they're just plowing through all the terrain. And then we got tanks holding the bridge. So you see all the greenskins are going through the water, which is going to slow them down. Water will slow down infantry, like it does in most war games. Okay, so over there, we see various abilities. So these look like they are either... So I'm guessing this is a mixture of army abilities and maybe like individual unit abilities, because it looks like he uses some sort of command or stratagem that's telling his tanks and the Baneblade to speed up, because you could see that some of the units now have that speed up marker on them, and that has like a 40-second cooldown. So I'm assuming this is some sort of army ability or like stratagem or something that is designed to make your units just move faster. I really like the animation. Like jumping over stuff. The background looks super nice. Woo! That's a lot of guns. Alright, so the Orks are just ignoring the cover, just coming in hot and heavy. Got the Mega Dogs. Got some fun little combat animations there. You can see some people getting knocked over and ripped apart. As planned, the water is slowing them down, clumping them together. What is he? Wait, what did he just click on? Okay, so he's using another ability. So these abilities earlier in the match started on a global cooldown. So, and it looks like you have a maximum number of times these can be used. So it looks like the speed up ability can only be used twice per game at whatever point this is in the game. And then whatever we're about to see started on a cooldown, but now it's no longer on cooldown. It looks like the range is drawn from something on his side of the battlefield. So there does appear, it seems like you need to have some sort of allied unit that this ability, whatever he's about to do, is cast from. Here we see a bunch of different units. Looks like we got like Mega Knobs, Orc Boys. This looks like maybe some kind of character unit. That looks like something super... Or maybe those are the Mega Knobs, because that looks like a super heavy unit. We got Shudas. So pretty good icons. So what is this? Okay, so he's drawing a line. So this looks exactly like how we would cast a wind spell in Total War Warhammer. So in Total War Warhammer, wind spells are you would click and like aim in a direction, except for this one looks like he's actually having to drag it out. Oh, look at that. Okay, so this is how I guess this is how they're gonna do strafing runs. So we have a strafing run coming in
神
from
火
the
箭提
Valkyries.
供了绝佳时机，我们可以调整导弹的攻击角度，对聚集的敌人造成毁灭性打击。
Holy shit! Okay, that insta killed all of those boys.
红帽小子是突击步兵，利用跳跃背包冲入敌阵，他们能够迅速跨越大河，甚至翻越舰阵，直接切入战场关键位置，在近战中彻底摧毁敌人。我们的前线就要撑不住了，是时候发动伏击了。
Spring our trap. Okay, so remember that
摧毁这些列车将为我方开辟出一条全新的进军路线。
Smash through it and then
仇
come
可蛮人
through. So this is one of the big things we've talked about with Total War Warhammer 40,000 in the past is that there's destructible terrain. So, which is like one of the big new features of this game, which is why it's a major reason it's on a new engine. So you'll be able, if you have heavy enough firepower, to just obliterate pieces of terrain that infantry, for instance, cannot cross, and then just plow through it to like get a sudden flank charge. Especially because that was up the way it was. It's very likely that to the Orks, those Imperial Guard units were in the fog of war. They were completely invisible because they didn't have line of sight to them due to the elevation difference and the fact that there's like this big wall in the way. So this will, like, ambushing is going to be really interesting in like non-ambush style battles because of the terrain.
这将迫使敌军分散兵力，以此缓解前线的压力。不同地图中都将有大量可摧毁的环境元件，他们将不断改变战场形态，以创造新的战术选择。我们的前线被突破了，现在是战术撤退，并重新组织防线的时候了。我们可以调遣增援部队进入战场。
Okay, so we see over here. We see what looks to be a menu about his battle cruiser or his whatever his ship is in orbit, and it looks like I'm assuming he is adding in. I imagine he's adding in soldiers either from orbit or maybe they're like nearby somewhere on the planet and they're coming in from somewhere else. But so you can summon reinforcements in real time. So that's pretty cool. They don't just automatically show up after a certain timer. You have to choose to call them in.
Assistance incoming.
I would love to see. Okay. So actually, if you look in the bottom right, you can see when he summons those units, they're immediately coming from the his side of the board or his side of the map. So those don't appear to be coming in like via drop pod or something. Those are literally walking on the map from the edge. So presumably these are reinforcements from like somewhere else on the planet that I guess you can call if they're close enough, and they will appear on the edge of the map, and then they have to run their way to you. Because we can see on the mini map that they are literally showing up the millisecond he clicks, come help me. Oh, okay, so he's using a different ability. So we know the ability on the right is the Valkyrie strafing run. We have another ability here in the center that I'm not sure what that is. It looks maybe like some kind of like maybe like a nuke or some kind of big thing. And then here, this one looks like a rocket. So it looks like he's maybe a fire some kind of big rocket. I mean, that's a huge damage. Such kills those troops. These men did their duty. Oh, what a perfect pause. You just see all the bits and pieces of Orks and Imperial Guard. Those guys just got mulched. Look at all the chunks. Okay, so that was a drop a nuke. Or drop a big one. Oh, and it caused a big crater in the ground. So that just annihilated the Orks. So a bunch of Orkadot!
践踏狙击是一种超重型战斗机甲，装甲厚重，极为坚固。虽然行动缓慢，装备了大量武器，包括超大砍刀、死亡加农炮、超级加特林炮以及超级无敌火箭。我们需要调动一部分装甲力量，逐步削弱它的防御。我们还有杀手锏未使用。由于我们的主舰仍处于轨道之上，我们可以发动轨道光矛打击。
Use the Lance Strike. Okay, so we got to see what all three of these abilities are. So this one is a Valkyrie strafe run with rockets. This one on the left was some kind of big bomb that caused a huge explosion. And then this is a Lance Strike, which I'm guessing is like an orbital bomb. Oh! Boom! Oh, so it's like a huge energy leak. Oh my lord, that is doing so much
随着
damage.
践踏狙击被摧毁，
Like all
欧克蛮人的阵线
like
彻
all
底
Total Wars battles are won. Okay, so you can
敌
see
人击被
on
摧
the top of the
毁。
screen, you can see the balance of power. So it looks like you both. Okay, it's interesting how they're showing balance of power now. So it used to be that it would start in the middle, with like half being your color and half being your opponent's color, and then it would like go one way or the other to show who is like the most dominant. Looks like on this one, what they're doing is you both start off with a full bar, and as you take damage and suffer losses, your bar depletes. And I'm guessing that when it's out, like once your bar, like the orc bar up here on the right, we can see, once that bar is out, it will cause army losses and you break and
克
run.
蛮人的阵线彻底崩溃，敌人开始
Now,
溃
so
逃。
Stompa
我们
blows
或
up.
许赢下了这场
Big
战斗，
boom. Oh, nice.
但这颗星球
I actually like that with the Stompa. When it blows up, you can actually see it causes damage, or at least it causes
击被摧毁，
like a
欧克
AoE
蛮人的阵
knockback
线
to
彻
all
底
the
崩
orcs
溃，
around it.
敌人开始溃逃。我们或许赢下了这场战斗，但这颗星球乃至整个
May
恒
have won
星
this
系的
planet,
战
but war on
争
this planet, or won this
仍在
battle,
继续
but won the planet, planetary system. All right, cool. So yeah, that's everything. So I feel like I talked about everything of interest to me on here pretty reliably. The game is looking really, really nice. The battles are looking pretty solid. The scale is certainly quite large. I'm imagining this is probably not a full scale battle. This is more than likely like just a regular scale battle. See here, he's down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so he's sending in a lot of reinforcements. But like, it looks like you're looking at 20 stacks, maybe for a standard army. And then I imagine you will probably, like traditional Total Wars, be able to go all the way up to 40 stacks, or something close to that maybe. But I would say the game's looking pretty solid so far. They don't have any of like my personal favorite armies in the game yet. I'm more of like I really, really like the Tyranids. I have some interest in like the Gene Stealer Colts as like a Tyranid light. The Eldar I could see being really interesting. If the Eldar get the Exodites in like a reasonable time frame, I would be more than happy to play Exodites. But the game seems like it's progressing really, really well. The battle looks really good, considering that this is, a recording of alpha footage. Like there are times it gets like a little stuttery, but that could be due to a lot of different reasons. And by the time we're seeing this is going to be pretty old footage. Like this is going to be several months old at least by now. So yeah. I just wanted to kind of come on and actually talk about and cover this. I think this game is really shaping up to be something quite interesting. It's not what I usually would go for, necessarily, but it looks like it's going to just be a really good Total War game. I hope it's going to be good. As much as I like to meme and dunk on 40K, I don't hate the entire setting. I just hate Space Marines. So, any game that's going to let me just obliterate legions of Space Marines just sounds like a grand old time. Anywho, so that's going to be it for this video. Please let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Are you excited? Are you worried? Is there anything you saw that particularly piqued your interest? Is there anything you that you felt maybe was not what you hoped it would look like? I will say the number one thing that stands out to me that I find interesting is that it doesn't appear like there's any flying units in the game, at least not yet. I'm not sure if that is going to be like a feature in that, because the Valkyries would be like a traditional flying unit, right? But in this, we see they are interpreted as like an army ability where they come in and they do a strafing run and then they're gone. So I'm kind of curious how they're going to interpret those, because I am, once again, I have not played 40K in a while. I'm actually about to, this is actually a good time for me to say, if you have any interest in the new 11th edition of Total War Warhammer 40,000, over on the Lorebeard's Discord channel, which I'll have a link to down below, We're about to start an escalation league. That's just going to be like a fun narrative league. It's going to be on the more casual side, a lot of brand new players. So it's not meant to be super hardcore, but there's going to be like a lot of fun, just chill narrative stuff going on. It should be a good time. We're planning to gear up to start that here in the coming pretty soon. No later, I think, than the end of this month. But so if you have any interest in joining that and like learning how to play the game, feel free to come over and play with us. We're taking a little bit of a break from Age of Sigmar. But all that to be said, I don't really know how flyers work as far as like big airships, because I know in the older editions there used to be rules where certain kinds of flyers like had to move every turn. Like they had to move like a good distance, and if they didn't move, they would just like instantly die because they like stalled out. Or I know there are some that like could move on the board, move across the board, and then move back off the board somehow. So I'm curious how Total War is interpreting that, because right now, I think in all the footage we've seen, I have not seen what I would consider like a flying unit. You know, I haven't seen any aircraft. The closest thing we've seen are like the units that have an ability that allows them to jump from one location to another. So I'm curious if the game might start without flying units, and if so, are they going to add flying units later? Because they've kind of mentioned that like the base game is probably not going to have any kind of like ship-to-ship real-time battles, but that's something they're considering adding after release, is having some kind of like way where you can do like a boarding action real-time battle, or have some kind of ship combat as a real-time battle. They've kind of mused about that, and I'm wondering if flying units are kind of going to be the same thing, just because I haven't seen any. And it's like, that's interesting. But it could very well be that maybe there are flying units and we just haven't seen them yet. Maybe they're just like not at that point in development for the base game, or maybe the footage they're showing us is from like early to mid game and you don't see flyers until late game. I don't know. Because I know there's like, you have like your fast flyers, then you have more like, I fly from this place to this place, but I am more able to like a more Warhammer Fantasy monster type flyer, like your demon princes and a lot of the like the gargoyles for the Tyranids, and a lot of the big flappy things. And then there's also like hovercraft, things that they do fly, they do go up to a high elevation, but they don't move particularly fast. Like they're a bit slower. So I'm very, very curious to see how they're going to interpret all these different things. But like I said, that's it for me for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to keep an eye out for more news on Total War Warhammer 40K. I imagine they'll do some kind of streamy type thing in the nearish future, but I don't know. I can't remember if they said they're gonna definitely do anything this month, like what's next show or any of that stuff. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And anyway, I'm out of here. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.